Hey guys, it's Joe and Matt with
Hello.
VMP's Tuning Tuesday, Season 2, Episode 32. And if you guys haven't checked out the cold air video with the 2018 Mustang Chuck's car.
That was a phenomenal video.
Yeah, I hear
It was very entertaining.
I hear it's funny.
My favorite part is still Mike standing there going, what is this?
Yeah,
What is this?
This is the cold air from that video. And I'm just going to...
We're auctioning this off.
I'm just going to...
If you would
To
like
be
a
noted,
piece, if you like a piece
I don't
of
think they
VMP
covered it in the
history.
video. This flange, we make these flanges. This is aluminum matte flange you can use to weld on to...
Yeah, but that one's not welded. That one's glued on with right stuff and then electrical tape.
Beside the point, we make these flanges if you want to do stuff correctly.
Yes.
And not make custom cold air intakes, but you're looking to make like blow-through tubes for centrifugal supercharged cars or turbo cars.
I have bought many of those in the day.
We sell these in aluminum, mild, and stainless. And if you want to buy one of these cold air intakes, don't do that.
Don't do that. Except for this one, because this one's like a piece of VMP art.
Yeah. Oh, man. The things and the stuff.
All the things and stuff.
So what did you do this weekend?
I was up here.
You were here?
I was here.
That's right. I saw the things you were doing.
Yeah, I was
A little group chat
doing
thingy.
some welding things and putting sensors and things
Yeah,
for all the data.
all of it.
And then Sunday I put my generator together, my new one.
Nice.
And so now we have power. Still got to get the cord figured out, but it's there. And that was about it.
I did bathroom stuff and cleaned up the garage a little bit.
Oh, that's right. You're still doing the bathroom thing.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty soon you'll be able to use it.
I can use it.
Oh.
I do use it.
Oh, you do
We're just
smell better
doing
this
the
morning.
finishing touches on it. Yeah. My man.
Anyway,
Yeah.
the questions are lined up.
Mike Whedon says, where can I find this intake for my 2001 Daewoo Lanos?
You too young anyway.
What about that Daewoo Nubira though? That's the only model that fits.
Do they still make Daewoos? Is that still a thing?
Not in the U.S.
Okay, I don't know if that was still a thing.
They make tractors and stuff too.
Tractors. They've made a little bit. It's like Ford's made a little bit of everything. They've made charcoal.
Yeah.
A couple comments. No real questions yet. There's one question, but let's get some of these shout outs out of the way. Michael Snook says first, no way. And Michael, like I said, if you're not first, you're last. Mad Max says hello, VMP crew. Marcus says hello, Miss Carrie. Hello, guys. Travis says hello, everybody. Hey,
If you
Travis.
guys watch Hyperdrive, there's a car with our blower on Hyperdrive.
Did it win?
I don't know. I haven't finished Hyperdrive.
Jay
did
in
pretty
Texas
good.
says, hey guys and gals. Hey Jay in Texas. And Raypad says, VMP is going to be at Mustang Week 2019, question mark?
Yeah,
Yes.
we are.
Yes, we will.
That's
be
on
there.
our event calendar thing.
We
You
don't
guys
know
can see on the
who's
website.
going to be there, but there will be people there.
Oh, we know who's going to be there. It's going to be
Oh.
me, Joey, Chuck,
I think Michelle's going too.
Michelle, and Justin, Rebecca.
She was bouncing around like a pinball. She's like, pick me, pick me, pick me.
Exactly. Michelle likes going to events still. She's still young.
Cohen.
Interesting.
It's Keonkohen. So it's
Oh.
Cohen.
Interesting.
I'm not sure you say the first name right, but he'll correct me if I'm wrong.
What's up, KK?
Says it's KC. Hey, I've been getting a lot of hate from people because I've wanted to turbo my Hellcat Charger. What would you recommend?
Well, that is where you get into, there's the purists and then there's the facts. And it's a big, heavy car, so it responds well from the instantaneous torque of the factory blower. That being said, horsepower per pound of boost, nothing comes close to a turbo. So you will make more power on less boost, or even more power on the same boost, with a turbo application. Your problem is obviously nobody makes a Hellcat kit. Mario at Gearhead Fabrications turbos them all the time, but it's not in a kit form. You have to have him build your car. He's done many of them. They're incredible and they're fast, but you do not have a kit that you can just bolt on. And obviously, because of that, you're going to pay the extreme amount of money associated with turboing a car
With custom fabrication.
With custom fabrication.
Says on a G. What? Oh, never mind. Go ahead.
So that being said, it's a matter of how deep your pockets are and how dedicated you are to it. Turbos make a lot of power, but it's also a lot more work. So do with that as you will.
So Christopher Jeffrey wants to know, why should he go with the VMP Gen 3 over other TVS superchargers, over other superchargers? What's the biggest advantage to a VMP?
Because we're the
On
best.
a GT500.
Don't have to change the hood.
Yep.
Don't have to cut the firewall. Could technically still run a stock bolt pattern throttle body. Don't have to go to anything exotic unless you wanted to.
More efficient
The
rotor
stock
pack.
belt works, or the stock sizes of belt. You don't need custom belts. The lower mass rotor pack.
Yep. It's a much more
really
efficient
high
rotor
efficiency.
pack.
Makes all the power you'd want to make on a stock motor.
Yeah. Yep.
And
Less parasitic loss, so technically easier on crank snouts and things like that if you want to get technical.
Yeah. And
It does more with less.
yeah. the little engine that could, or the little blower that could.
I was going to say the little blower that could.
Yep.
And even then, it's still not little, but
No, it's not.
it packs a punch of a big displacement blower and a small displacement
correct.
size.
I just like it from the efficiency point of view. Is it's using less to do more. Like I said, that's what I really like about them.
The Piece 2.0 says, I need a good time for my 6.4. Do I have to unlock it, have it unlocked by Dodge?
What did you say? What year?
If it just said 6.4.
Yeah, if it's a 15 or newer, it's got to be unlocked. Well, it's not unlocked by Dodge. It's unlocked by either Diablo Sport or HP tuners, depending on what software you're going to be using to tune it with. But either way, the PCM has to be unlocked. And then if it's an 18 or 19, you also need the CAN patch cable, which tricks the gateway on the cars and lets you talk to them, because they are getting smarter and we just keep going around them.
Yes, yeah, it's the 16.
So yeah, so then he's fine. He doesn't need any fancy patch cables, but the PCM will need to be unlocked. We can, I mean, if we're tuning the vehicle, we can organize that for you. Or if you're having someone else do it, then you can either get the PCM unlocked or have your tuner do it, whichever.
Carlos says, hi, can I lower pulley on Gen 2R 79 to 75 without a tune change? And then on fuel pump booster, I'm guessing that's what he's saying, and 56-pound injectors and 67 throttle body, 93 octane?
So if you're on 93, don't put a 75 millimeter pulley on it.
Or do it and then buy an engine from us.
Yeah, don't do that on 93.
No, don't do that.
79 is the smallest we recommend. And that'd be for like a 2300 displacement supercharger, not a 2650. Go ahead.
Jesse Spiker says,
God, I know that name.
I heard you're supposed to dyno with the hood closed. How come you guys don't do it right like the internet does?
I hate
Oh,
him.
God. Hard pass.
Hard pass.
Yeah.
Just so you guys know, Jesse's our tech here, and he's just giving us a hard time.
Mm-hmm.
The whole hood open, hood closed thing. It pops up about every 6-7 years. There's a whole bunch of people that are self-proclaimed experts go down the path of I know this and I don't know this, and then it dies down for another 6 or 7 years.
Well, what sucks is like people take what someone talks about in a video in a specific context,
right.
and they try to apply it to every situation that anyone's on a dyno
Correct.
for ever.
Right.
And it's like there's situations where that applies and there's situations where it doesn't.
Correct.
If we're testing back-to-back power,
Right.
stock cold air versus aftermarket,
Right.
okay, that's one thing.
Yes.
If we're just dynoing a car, that's a completely different thing.
Correct.
It's not like we're comparing closed hood numbers to open hood numbers. We're not dynoing the car with a closed
Right.
hood first, completely stock, and then opening the hood and putting a cold air on it and then saying, oh, look how much you gained.
Right,
That's
but
not how
then
we're doing it.
there's other factors like hood closed on a dyno, and the car's not moving, so there's no air whatsoever
Yeah, I mean,
being
you're-
circulated.
you're going down the
How is
road.
that fair to compare that to
Oh,
a
well,
car that is doing 80 down the
You
road?
have a fan that's generating a quarter of a horsepower, so that's equal amount of
Right.
airflow through the engine bay as the car
Right.
moving down the road at 60 miles an hour.
Right. So then, again,
two are
there's
not
the
the same.
argument that which one, then there's the argument of which one is fair: the hood open without air moving versus the hood closed with air moving down the road might end up being close to the same.
At the end of the day,
So-
as long as you calibrate the car for the IAT advance and recharge
Correct.
function,
Right.
it doesn't matter.
Correct. And if you're doing a before and after comparison, as long as your tests are the same, then what does it matter? If you're testing long tubes or you're testing a catback, it doesn't matter because all you're looking at is the before and after. So,
Christopher Jeffrey, he's got 2 first names, who was asking about why he should go with the VMP Gen 3. What are the pros with it? Said thank you. And Carlos, who was asking about pulling down, said, okay, thanks VMP, boost number 1.
no
Thank you.
Let's see what else we have here. Jed says, what tire do you recommend on a 17, 10.5-inch rim for drag racing? 725 to the wheel, 18 auto, 315 gears.
The tire that allows you to hook up.
Depends on if you're driving it in the rain a lot as well. The stickier the tire, so the rule of thumb is the stickier the tire, obviously the more traction you have, but the less wet traction you have. So depends on where you live. If you get a long rainy season, you plan on driving it in the rain, or if it's just you only bring it out on the Saturdays when there is no rain. That's a different animal altogether. So
There's also another animal that compound is what makes the tire sticky. But you can also have compound and siping and still get some water flow because
Yes.
the
hence something
compound of the tire does not.
right, something
make
like
it
a
absorb water.
555R or something like that.
Yeah.
So
Depends on what you're doing with the car at the end of the day.
The piece says, I've heard I need to upgrade my pistons to boost my 6.4. Is this true?
yes and no. The pistons are, we kind of joke around in the Dodge community, the pistons are made of glass in those things. They definitely are very brittle. They're not designed for boost. They can break. They do break. If you are reasonable with the boost, if you keep it at a reasonable level, 6, 7, 8 pounds, it's tuned properly, and it's on decent fuel, there's plenty of them that live forever. Generally, if you're trying to make 600 or more, then you really should look into putting a piston and a rod in it, because just something that's far less brittle and less prone to any kind of oops. So because they can break and they do break, but it's not like the end of the world. Like I said, if you use a lower boost setting and a decent safe tune, they'll be fine.
Jeff Scarlin says, probably a dumb question. I do quite a bit of data logging on my 11 turbo 5-liter Mustang and was wondering what torque source is, and could you elaborate on it, please?
I don't have the chart.
So you have, generally speaking, most of the torque sources you'll see come through on a data log on a 2011 are going to be anything from 0 to
I think it was a
16.
16, yeah.
Is going to be most of what you're going to see, unless it's throwing like a torque reduction torque source and like a 2018, and then you'll see like 26.
Yeah, and honestly, of the 16 or so, you probably won't see a majority of them ever. They're very certain circumstances.
Yeah, so the ones that you see most commonly are torque source 2 for traction control, torque source
0 for driver demand, of course. I think 9 is
I
engine
want to say
speed limiting.
0 is no limit active,
Correct.
and then you have I think 1's like foreground spark clip.
I think 9 is rev limiter, a vehicle engine speed limit.
9 is target engine speed.
Oh, that's right. Again, on my chart in front of me. We don't memorize it.
I got most of them. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, doesn't really matter. That
No.
basically just indicates which torque reduction source or torque control source the ECU is using at that point in time in the
Right.
data log. Another one you might see is torque source 7, which I believe is transmission torque truncation. You'd most likely see that on an automatic car, depending on what's going on with the trans or what.
Some
what
of the
they're doing
manual cars,
for-
if you don't get the torque limits per gear bumped up,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. I mean, I hope that answers what it is, but in layman's terms for what it is that's just the PCM telling you where, if it's getting some kind of torque reduction, it's telling you where it's coming from, what part of the calibration it's using. So what you want is when you're driving and at wide open throttle, you want torque source 0, which means it's happy, there is no torque limit active, and it's doing what you tell it to do. And then again, like you said, if you hit a rev limiter or a speed limiter, you'll see
It's torque source
you'll,
4.
you'll see it go to 4. You know, obviously when you let off, it's going to go into an idle mode, so you're going to see 9. That stuff's normal.
And then usually it'll go from 9 to 22, depending on how the torque control is for idle.
So basically, if the car is tuned and you see 0 driving, you know, part throttle and full throttle, it's doing what it's supposed to.
I want to say 16's dash pot.
It's got some weird ones.
The piece who was asking about upgrading a 6.4 says, thanks, upgrade it is.
It's not a bad idea for insurance purposes.
And then Michael Snook says, the piece just wants to be sure he doesn't get struck by lightning. Give me 1 second, we have a couple questions
Michael
coming
Snook
in
has a
here.
lightning.
So, Horse GT says, any tire recommendations for a 20-inch wheel? I mainly do rolls, and anything under 40 miles per hour just spins.
You're
a sticky tire.
Yeah, you're a little bit more limited. When you get up into the 17s, 18s, 20s, you get a little bit more limited on tire. I don't know if Nitto makes a 20.
20 in what? Like a
20
drag
inch?
radial?
Yeah.
Yeah, they make a 20-inch
Do
drag
they?
radial.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Nitto, Mickey Thompson. I know Mickey Thompson makes a 20, but I don't remember exactly
They
which
make
one
an
it
ET
is.
Street R and an ET Street SS and a 20, if I recall correctly.
Okay. Any of those, the Nitto's gonna be a little bit better in the rain. Mickey Thompson's gonna be a little bit stickier, but try and kill you in the rain.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of depends on what you want to do.
Accurate.
AC says R888.
R88s are good, but
forgot
I don't
about
think
those.
they make them in more than 2 sizes in 20s. And
That if
they're
you
kind
want
of like
the
a shorter
loudest
20.
tire on the planet.
I don't know. I've never really had noise issues with them.
God, they're super
They're very loud on the dyno, but
Yes.
on the street they're not too bad.
I've never heard a tire that loud in my life on the dyno.
You guys are spinning a lot today.
Sorry.
Yeah. We.
The piece came back and said, no, just want to make sure I don't go sky high buried in it on the way home. Sniffles.
No, they usually don't break. I mean, you usually don't. It's not a catastrophic failure. 90% of the time with those is all of a sudden you get a check engine light for cylinder number 3 or 7 or whatever misfire, and you pull the plug out and the porcelain's missing off the thing, and you're missing a little piece of piston, and that's what happens. And usually you can tear it down and fix it. The bad news is if you do chunk a piece of that piston off, it can kind of bounce around in there and beat the hell out of the cylinder head and stuff like that. But generally, they don't catastrophically come apart. They don't break rods usually.
Gary says, hey y'all, with the 1314 Stage 2 Power Pack, can the tune include the fans coming on early and often? This Gulf Coast humidity has my 14 falling on its face from heat soak after only one awesome pull. It's been parked for 2 months because of the lack of performance. Hoping for a VMP miracle if I get your power pack. Lastly, will this increase the blower whine?
So the fan speeds that we trigger are not intercooler fan speeds or anything like that. They're engine coolant temperature fan speeds, and the engine coolant temperature has less of an effect on the performance or the power that the car makes than the intake air temperature does. So if your heat soak is because of IATs, commanding the fans to come on sooner won't necessarily help with that.
No.
If your heat soak is engine coolant temp at 240, then commanding the fans to come on a little bit sooner will help with that. But if you really want to help the engine coolant temp sides of things, put a thermostat in it and get a tune update for a thermostat. If you really want to help out the IAT sides of things, look into picking up a heat exchanger.
Accurate.
AC says, do you have trust issues with the Gen 3 motors around 800 wheel?
No. On decent fuel.
And by decent fuel, you mean not 93?
Not 93, yes. Something such as butane or 100 unleaded or race gas of some nature or the good old all-American corn liquor.
Like who?
So no, as far as detonation will tear them apart, obviously, but from a strength point of view, they are plenty strong to survive 800 if everything else is happy.
Chad Dowd says, Joe, no slicks on beadlocks are for the DD cars.
Oh, my man.
David Ray says, can you guys email tune a 15 C7 Corvette LT1? What is needed and expected horsepower gain estimate?
So are those compatible with Engage yet?
They should be. Should we?
I guess
So then the answer would be
technically?
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we should be able to handle that without a whole lot of problem. As far as power gains, depends on overall modifications. Did he say it was mostly stock bolt-ons?
Didn't say anything.
Okay, if they're mostly stock, you're not going to get a whole lot out of them power-wise. They're fairly aggressively tuned from the factory. What you are going to see is more of the torque reduction improvements, power enrichment improvements, things like that. Generally, they'll pick up 10, 15 wheel, nothing super crazy. When you start adding cold air intakes, things like that, then they need to be
It says
tuned.
stock.
Okay, so
Back stock.
the quick and dirty answer is probably in the 10 to 15 range on them. There's not a whole lot, but we can make it more fun to drive, so that's important.
Isaac says, I want to do a 18 Mustang GT manifold swap to a 16 GT and discovered you do not tune for flex fuel tune. Why is this?
Because we don't have it released yet.
We will be. We are working on it.
Uh,
Bear with us.
the piece with the,
Or just don't run flex.
We will send you E85 tunes. We just don't have true flex yet.
Go ahead.
the piece with the 6.4 says, it makes me kind of want to grenade it and turn it into a 426. LOL.
Or
420
just don't grenade it and turn it into a 426. That's also an option.
But see, as an engine, see, this is where we get into that 426 debate. I'm not really a fan of the 426. I'm not a fan of big stroke motors. Never have.
I feel like people always run themselves into this trap of, oh,
Yes.
I can't replace the engine until it breaks. No, bullshit.
You,
Pull it out before it
It's-
breaks and save yourself a bunch of money.
yes, to save yourself from welding up combustion chambers and fixing bent valves from pieces of piston.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can do the 426 if you want. It's more of a nostalgia thing to me. I don't feel that it needs the 426. I'd rather have the RPM capability of a shorter stroke motor, but it's your engine.
You need that long
So-
stroke.
Of course, now they're asking, do you have an ETA on that flex fuel tune? Reason being is it's hard to find full E85, mostly E54.
Well, then we just-
tune it for E54.
Yeah.
That's
We
simple.
send you an E54, and then we send you a pump gas tune.
If
and
it's
you
naturally
just,
aspirated, the E54 is 99% of what you're going to get as compared with going to E85. So
Yes.
I wouldn't be too worried about it. If all you can get is E54, then ride out.
And then we just send you two tunes, and you use whichever one applies.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
Well, I want to have to program my car once. I don't want to have to program it more than once because it takes 5 minutes to do so. So, like, why would you want to do
hey
that?
guys, I have a 99 Cobra. Do y'all support the car for tuning? It's nothing crazy. An intake, 90mm MAF, shorty headers, and free-flowing exhaust. I am primarily interested in Boost-Stain or E85.
Pro tip: take that 90mm MAF off, put the stock MAF back on,
Yep.
and we'll email tune it.
Also, make sure you've had all the recalls done from way back in the day.
Yeah, like the cylinder head and intake manifold replacement.
I think it was just manifold, if I'm not
It
mistaken.
was just manifold as part of the
It
recall,
was
but
extrude honed and stuff.
there was the, I want to say those still had the tick recall, or not recall, TSB.
Who knows?
Isaac, who was asking about the flex fuel, said thank you for the info. I will be in contact.
Yay.
Sweet.
Jay in Texas says, why RPM limit shift differences for auto versus manual?
Huh?
So he's talking about the RPM limit for shift in the trans section. So the rev limiters for each individual gear in an automatic, and he's wondering why it's there in automatic and not there in manual. Why does it matter?
I don't know. I guess they would want that logic there. I don't see a reason for it to be there. To be honest with you, that and I don't know if the PCM necessarily has the ability to know what gear it's in manual-wise.
It does. That's how they
So-
calculate for cruise
Oh,
control.
that's right. That's true because they do cruise control stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
because it goes by NOV.
Well, not just N over V. Gear ratio.
No, I'm
But
saying
yeah.
it uses that for the gear ratio calculation. Is what I'm saying. That's true.
Yeah.
don't have an
At the
answer
end of
for
the
that
day,
one.
it doesn't matter.
I don't know
The
why it's there,
engineers
but it
didn't
doesn't
write
matter.
it that way. That's why.
Yeah.
That's why it's not like that.
Yeah.
Colin Collins says, after talking to a few people from VMP, I made up my mind to turn my 16 Mustang from twin 70mm turbos to a supercharger. Which one would you prefer to make the same power? Also, would it be smart to take the blower off my Hellcat and put it on my Mustang? Really need to know.
I'd say if you're on twin 70s, if they're even a decent turbo, the blower is not going to make as much power as what
No.
those have the potential to make. Now, what you're making at X amount of boost versus blower X amount of boost really depends on the efficiency of the turbos. It'd probably take at least a couple pounds more boost at the higher boost levels to make as much as what the turbos are making.
Yep.
But at the lower boost, around 13, 14 PSI, if you're only running that much on a turbo setup, then you'd probably have to pulley the blower to about 15 pounds to make as much as a turbo makes at 13.
Sounds reasonable.
Yeah.
Brent Leminger's online. He says Justin leaves and Guy spins in chair. They spin in chair all the time,
Yeah.
every week.
I like Brett.
That and Justin's usually not in here.
No.
Not during
Him
this
being
time.
here doesn't really have a
It doesn't
bearing
have,
on whether or
no.
not we're willing to spend. We're grown ass men. We do what we want.
No. No.
We already answered this. Yes, there will be some people at Mustang Week. On an aftermarket fuel system, do you prefer a deadhead return or flow-through return style?
It depends on what we're trying to accomplish. If you're trying to get an 800 wheel car, deadhead's perfectly fine.
Yep.
If you're trying to do silly stuff at 1,000, return's probably the better idea.
Yep.
BMB Motorsports says, hey guys, got an E85 tune on my 17 F-150 and I'm having issues with miss while cruising down. She had 2 revisions, still getting miss every few miles, but the stock tune is good. Any ideas on what it might be?
Did Mike just fight with this with someone of this? Remember the one that was the cam timing moving around on it? Remember it was like a steady state cruise, the cam timing was dropping out of it and causing misfires?
He wasn't getting misfire codes, he was getting a perceptible feeling of something changing.
Maybe that's what they're talking about is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I don't know. Without seeing logs, it's hard to say.
Make sure to send us a log. I know you said you're getting revisions with us, but get us a log and bring it to our attention. We will get it sorted. We fix.
That's the best thing, to do is if you've been going back and forth in email, it's
It's
just,
just keep going back and forth via
keep going
email.
back and forth in email with the tuning guys, and
Because
that way
now
they'll
you're
get you
talking to
situated.
two people that aren't familiar with your case. So
Exactly. If you had a Turbo S197, what intake manifold would you choose?
stock one, unless it was an all-out race car, and I'd probably have
Yeah.
a Cobra Jet on it.
How? Oh, sorry.
No, he's not wrong. It depends on the RPM range. The intended RPM range of the motor. It's hard to beat a stock intake on a turbo setup unless you're gonna really.
Unless you're going for all of it, and then
Yeah.
it's like, all right, well,
Then anything that's a short runner, the Holly race intake is very popular. The Plasma Man billet intake, the Cobra Jet intake, any of those.
the best answer for 90% of people is a stock intake manifold.
Yes.
Joshua wants to know, how safe is it for a Gen 1 to do a 50-shot nitrous without doing a retune?
I think doing any shot of nitrous without a retune is stupid.
50 be fine on a stock tune.
Debating of swapping my S197 motor for a Gen 2. In your opinion, would it be worth doing? It's either that or get a built motor.
I am always in favor of a built engine because you're doing a whole lot of work
You're doing an equal amount of labor
for
to
less
put
of
in
a
something that is only marginally better.
correct. I understand people do it on a budget, and if you know for a fact, for example, if you're making 800 horsepower.
If you have a naturally aspirated car and you
Well,
blew
yeah,
up
then
your
it's-
naturally aspirated car and you want something that's a little bit stronger, put a Gen 2 Coyote engine in
Yeah.
it.
Or if you're example, like I said, if you're at 750, 800 horsepower, you know for a fact that you will never, ever, ever, ever need more than that or try to go any higher than that, then maybe the Gen 2 fits into that category for a budget. But at the same time, you're still pushing a stock long block or a stock short block. And you're still spending the same amount of labor money or doing the same amount of labor to only be it marginally better. So I always recommend just build it and then you're done with it. But it's not for everyone, I understand.
Cohen, who was talking about swapping out his turbos, says, okay, thank you. I just hate how I get beat by C7s, but my Hellcat keeps up with them. So I just was wondering if my Mustang made 890 to the, I guess it's my Mustang made 890 horsepower, 803 torque. I'm looking for a good tire setup for better traction because right now I get no traction at 60 miles per hour.
Is this the other thing is this a manual Mustang or an automatic Mustang? And when you say you're getting beat, are you getting beat because they're jumping out on you and then you're having
I'd
to wheel
imagine
them
they
back
are
in?
if he's on twin 70s at only
Probably.
800 wheel.
And
It's
then
probably
he came
taking
back
forever
and
to spool
said,
those
well,
things.
on low boost, it made that much.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you're into the street thing and maybe it's a manual car and he's having to shift, then
It's hard to beat a TVS in a
Yeah.
manual car on the street.
Yeah, that's very true.
They hit hard. If you can get it hooking right
Yes.
and you can get your shifting down,
Yes.
a manual TVS car is lethal on
He
the
says
street.
it's manual.
Yeah, so that's part of his
Yeah.
problem. So then if you're staying manual and you're all about the street, then you might want to downsize turbos or you might want to go to the supercharger route. Supercharger route is going to be harder to beat on the street because it has it's instantaneous
Punch.
it's there and it's gone and then you've
There's
got to
no
play catch
spool.
up. Right. Or get really good at brake boosting.
Yep.
Nickel White says, what up, y'all? Do you
Hola.
tune O2 GTs?
We can, yes.
We can. And
Depends
we
on
do.
the setup as to whether or not we will.
We are slightly
But we
picky with
can.
them.
I am very picky with them. I've tuned too much junk over the past 2 years to want to bother with a lot of them, but
I had a guy bring me a
Someone really
car that
wants
had
it.
a factory mass air meter shoved into a piece of PVC pipe. And I built a transfer function for it because I can.
that's one of those things where it's like things that tuners don't want to talk about, but will if asked.
That falls under the get it done category.
Yeah.
Horse GT says, will the Ghost Blower tune cause any traction issues on stock tires?
It will.
Oh,
The Ghost
absolutely.
Blower tune actually makes as much power as a blower car. So you got to be careful.
Yeah, that's true.
AC469 wants to know, what's the average labor cost on OPGs? I'm not in Florida, but have been quoted 1,000. Is that good?
That sounds about right. I
yeah.
think that's actually a little bit less than what we charge. If you're interested in pricing or interested in quoting something, hit up the sales and support department. They can hook you up with a quote with exact prices. We prefer not to speculate on pricing and tell you the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Victor Xavier says, horsepower increase going from a 93 tune to Boostain tune on a 14 GT with headers and bolt-ons. Thanks, guys.
Probably not very much.
Yeah, it depends on how good quality your 93 is. If it's junk 93, then probably 15, 20 horsepower. If it's really good 93, 5, 10 horsepower.
So Cohen comes back, says, thank you, y'all. Will most definitely be hearing from me this week. I want to be ready for Mustang Week in these Charleston roadways.
Hell yeah, you better hurry if you want to be ready by Mustang Week. Between
Jeremy, I
shipping and install
Bring the
time.
Mustang out, not the Hellcat.
Jeremy, I haven't forgotten you. Your question is actually next. So Jeremy says, can you ask Matt
Oh, Jesus.
how
Here we
his
go.
EGT probe install went on his Coyote headers, please?
I'm going to stab him in the face. so I had this EGT probe that just went in and then that was it. It wouldn't come back out again.
Sad.
I think it had a burr in it or something. And I spent a legitimate hour trying to get this goddamn probe back out before I ended up just breaking it all together out of a fit of rage. And now I have to order another one.
Mike Whedon says, "Sweet baby Rays."
Comes over with a 5-pound sledge.
Dude, I was beyond. Words cannot describe how mad I was at this thing, because all it was is I had the nut welded on, and I'm like, oh, I just want to test fit the probe, and all right, it went in. Wait, what? What? And then an hour later, I have the probe out there just because I'll have to show it to you.
Aesthetic reasons.
I was beyond angry.
Hi, Den.
And I'm
Jeremy.
messaging Jeremy the whole time.
Yeah, Jeremy says thank you, all in caps with like 5 exclamation points behind it. Let's see what we have. Brett Leminger says 2020 Explorer ST plans on tuning these anytime soon.
Absolutely. I just got to get my hands on one. If you have one, let me know.
Send it.
Yeah, I just got to get my hands on one. But they look promising, just like any other EcoBoost. So plus the all-wheel drive platform is just really cool. So
You ever play around with a Fusion Sport?
the 4-cylinder ones, yes, if that's the ones you're talking about.
I was talking about those V6 ones.
No, I don't think I'm gonna mess with many of those. But I mean, again, that's not too far from the SHO. They're all the same concept. So.
And then?
Ben has a PO605 code when changing gear ratio in tune on an SCTX4. I reload tune, select modify, select new gear. When starting car, I get that code. Reload tune with stock gear, no code. Any ideas?
605 is ROM processor code.
That's like a memory error. Yeah.
That's odd. That being said, we should be able to turn that code off. Is it from us? Because if it's from us, we can just...
I don't know, did not say.
We'll just have to write you a tune and turn it off. That is something that pops up in the aftermarket tuning world, but most of the time, if that's the case, you can just kill that code.
Is there a way to set what a X4 logs without having to bring a laptop along to data log? When I set up the log, it only lets me select some predetermined options.
Yeah, it's export config. It's in our data logging instructions.
Ooh.
The person who was just getting the code that you were talking about says yes from VMP.
Okay.
Yeah, message us. Or respond
Message
to
your
support
tuner,
ticket.
whoever that, either make a ticket or message your tuner, whoever did it, and say, turn this code off.
Came back and said thank you. Mark says, I am thinking about putting the new 445 in Ford engine into my 1998 Lincoln Mark 8. Does your shop do this type of work?
What engine?
I think he's talking about putting the Godzilla engine.
Oh, the 7.3.
Yeah, in his Lincoln Mark 8.
We will, see, here's the thing. We'll build anything. The problem is that most people end up with sticker shock when they don't realize how much labor and fabrication work is required to make something like that fit. So if you're willing to pay us, we'll do it. But you may not like the bill.
Yeah,
That's generally the way of it works.
Sign a blank check, and when we get done, we'll let you know how much it is.
That's the problem. It generally ends up being so much
Especially the
more.
first swap of something like that.
Yeah, because you
Figuring
have
out-
to engineer everything yourselves.
Yeah.
Michelle's handling the PO605 right now.
See, look at that.
Does the shop side of VMP install rods and pistons? My GT500 is due for a makeover. Thanks.
Yes.
Yeah, we prefer not to do engine builds in-house, so we would most likely
Swap them.
send that somewhere or just buy a complete short block for you and we can swap the short block assembly.
Yep.
I currently have a tune by you guys, then an updated tune recently for a tune required cold air. The car pulls and drives much better on 93. Is there still more room for more power with another tune revision?
It's possible. It depends on what all the car's doing right now.
Depends on where you're at in the tuning process and what whoever's tuning it. If they have said that's all it's got, then that's probably all it's got. If they have not said that and they're still waiting on maybe another revision, then you might still have a little bit more.
Flipping a 2650 upside down to get a dual pass intercooler, would it make much of a difference as far as cooling the intake versus one intercooler underneath?
Interesting. And then?
Someone says, so what is the secret sauce?
It is a blend of the spices from D's Nuts and
It's a bit tangy.
yeah,
And then,
It's like alkali based.
spicy.
how do 5.0s do on M1 fuel? I have a JPC 1400 wheel kit with triple 465s. It's a S480 TH400 car.
Nice.
I've been running pump E85 at 820 to the wheel on a Gen 1. Would M1 and a retune be any safer than E85?
No.
No.
The problem, I assume you mean M1 is in like pouring
Methanol.
M1 into the fuel system and running the engine off M1 and not methanol injection. M1 requires 3 times the amount of fuel that E85 does. So right off the bat, you don't have enough fuel system for M1. And
I want to
then,
say for fuel flow like that, he'd need a mechanical driven fuel pump. Or like
actually, I think that I
off-manual.
misspoke. I don't believe it's 3 times. I believe it's slightly over 2. But whereas a stoic point of
Is it
E85,
6.5 on methanol?
yeah, it's
like that?
something like that. It's 5 or something. Let's put it this way: we target like 394.0 wide open throttle. So, yeah,
You're almost putting in equal amounts.
yeah. Well, no, that's
Or-
nitromethane, where it's pretty much 2 to 1. But that being said, at 800 horsepower, there is no benefit whatsoever from running M1 unless you have some kind of turbo setup that is non-intercooled and you have a tremendous amount of intake air temps.
He says, yep, straight in the tank.
Okay. Yeah, if you're running a whole bunch of intake air temps, if you're running non-intercooled, like the 480 is blowing straight into the intake, then it might be beneficial to you because methanol does not require an intercooler, but you don't have enough fuel system, I can tell you that right now.
Yeah.
It cracks me up all the time. The black guy from TV says,
I think it's funny just hearing her read it.
my friend has a 93 tuned ProCharger 2 valve. How would that stand up to my 91 Coyote Swap NA Mustang?
Probably be a fairly close race.
93, so a 93 push rod with a
93
ProCharger.
tuned ProCharger 2 valve.
Versus I want to say you
So
said
it's
it
going to
was
make
a new
400,
Edge.
so it's going to make low 400s, and it's going to spit a head gasket out of it halfway through the run.
And then you have a light Fox body with a naturally aspirated Coyote.
I think that'd be a close race.
So I think power to weight, they're going to be pretty similar. It's going to be a driver's race.
Yeah.
Just based on that description.
Isn't that sad?
Yeah.
That NA car is going to be keep up with what used to be the king of the roads back in the day.
Yeah.
Oscar El Toro
Ah,
says, can I spray 200 shot of nitrous with my Gen 3R on 25% overdrive and 2.4?
this guy.
Do it. The blower doesn't care how much nitrous
No.
you're injecting.
No, it does not care. We found that out. And honestly, all you're doing is you're helping the rotor pack cool. You're cooling the rotor pack, and if you're spraying a wet kit, you're helping seal the rotor pack. It makes it even more powerful. So if there's anyone on the planet that's going to do that, we know it's going to be him. So why don't you do it and report back to us?
Eli, who was asking about the M1, says, don't tempt me with a good time. And he says, no intercooler, you say?
Yeah, see, that's where it comes in handy.
Cute Shadow Kia wants to know, what do you think about the new Grabber Green?
I think it looks good.
I love it.
I love it.
I do.
Yeah,
But you know I like my bright greens.
I was going to
so
say, you like your loud color.
I love my loud colors.
The guy that owns a lava red car.
Shut
that
up,
has
you.
loud colors.
Listen, all right?
I like
The most
lava
low-key
red.
color that Ford ever made.
It is. It's like, oh, you have a black car? No, it's not black.
It's actually red.
You
God.
look at it in the light just right, you can see it.
I had to wash the car one time to prove to someone it wasn't black.
Oscar came back with 3 emojis. 1, the crying laughing. 2, the guy going,
Exactly.
And then 3, the sunglasses with a smirk.
Uh-huh. That's him, all right.
My man.
Divin, Sonia,
I got a message.
Naranyan. I have a 03 Terminator with stage 3 comp cams and a tune. What else do I need to do with supporting mods so the car can drive close to stock as for drivability?
Pull
Thanks,
the cams
guys.
out.
Cams and drivability.
That and comp. He's probably talking about comp 106 460s. It's like,
yeah.
that's just a terrible cam for a supercharged Cobra to begin
Yes.
with. It's like that cam was designed in what, like 99?
I don't know.
So it's like, yeah, pull those cams out, put stock cams back in, and all your drivability will come back, and it'll probably
That
make
being said, we can
within
get
20
it.
horsepower.
We can get it reasonably drivable.
Yeah, I don't know what specifically you're having a problem with, or if it's the nature of the cams, or if it's the nature of the tune that's currently in it.
Yeah, we're not saying it shouldn't drive like garbage. That's not what we're saying. The thing shouldn't like buck and
But
jerk and
cars with
stall and all
cams
that
don't
stuff.
drive like stock cars.
Correct.
Period.
That's what we're getting
You
at.
can make them drive well, but I don't ever want to hear someone say a fixed cam car with
Yeah.
any type of chop drives exactly like a stock car, because they don't.
Yeah. I can't idle this through the parking lot. Brr, 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 brr.
You can get them to drive well, it won't ever be stock.
In reference to your love of
Stock is
obnoxious
stock.
colors,
Yes.
Travis came back and said, well, Matt would love my race red GT then. Wink, wink.
See, yes, but I'm not a bright red.
You're more of a
I
the
like.
new
I love my
2018
bright greens.
like wine color?
Yeah, I don't mind that.
crimson
Well, it's
wine or something.
crimson wine. I don't mind that, but I do like bright colors though.
Mm-hmm.
Red is probably my least favorite bright color, but I do like my bright colors.
If
So
you're
how'd you
gonna
like
have
that
something,
tri-coat
you're gonna have
yellow?
like comp orange. You're gonna have
Yeah, I'm gonna
dark
have.
green,
Yeah, I
you're
like
gonna
the
have-
I like the competition orange. I like anything that's bright, like Lambo green or Kawasaki green. Anything that's like just bright
Plum
in your
purple.
face green. I do like the plum crazy purple. I like the green that Dodge had in 15.
Yep.
So those kind of colors for sure.
David Ray came back and said, "Old man red."
Yeah. Farm all red. That's what my dad used to say.
Will be pink in 10 years, Red?
Yep.
On a Gen 1 Coyote with FBO, would there be a significant power gain when upgrading 34-pound stock injectors to 47 using pump gas 90 octane here in Alaska?
No. Leave the stock injectors.
Yeah,
in.
there is no gain to be had with a larger injector on
See,
your application.
The thing with injectors is you have to mix them with a commensurate amount of air.
Yes.
If you are doing nothing but changing the amount of fuel you are able to inject,
Right.
you're not going to gain any power.
Yeah, and now if you're out of injector, that's different, which he's not.
Exactly.
So if you were at 100% duty cycle, and then you switched to an injector that had 70% duty cycle, you would probably help it out a little bit.
You'd make it safer. It might
Yeah.
make less power because it's not as lean.
But, and his application is, no, you're going from an injector that's maybe 80% down to an injector that's maybe 60%. It doesn't matter. It's still the same amount of fuel.
Yeah.
It's the same amount of fuel being injected for the same amount of air being injected.
Yeah.
Mitchell Page says, "I know someone that shoots their car with 2.625."
Oh, it's happened. We're not going to say it's not happened. It happens.
Well, Mitchell is
Yours-
also one of those guys where if anyone's going to spray a big shot through it, it's Mitchell.
Hey, I put 400 through an
says-
03 Cobra, okay? I put 400 through a Port at Eaton back in the day, so it's whatever.
Q Shadow Kia, "I'm undecided between the new Magma Red or the new green,
green.
but I'm unsure how good it looks.
Green.
Is it like gotta have a green?"
It's more. That's kind of a weird color. It's almost a more metallic green.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost.
like a
It almost
greeny
looks
yellow.
anodized green. I
Yeah.
love it.
Mitchell says, "Only 200 though." Ian says, "I'm very excited to get my power kit with X4 tuner and JLT intake. It comes with a tune from you guys, I assume. Can we revise it to make sure it's perfect, or is it already dialed in perfect?"
They're usually very, very close, but we always will help take a look at some data logs and send you a couple of revisions to make sure it's as good as it's going to get. We take care of you.
True science fact.
Thanks for the answer on my Mark 8. I will be contacting your sales guy in the near future. I would like to have the first monster engine in my car.
That's fine. We will do it.
Send it.
Does a one-piece drive shaft make sense on a stock 20 GT?
If you're going to be launching it, doing hoodlum things with your hoodlum friends, then it wouldn't be a bad thing. If you're doing anything that you feel might actually break the stock one, then yes.
Truth.
Cute Shadow Kia says, oh, and where did all the ghost cams go? It seems like really popular on the Gen 1 Coyote, but quickly died off.
Because we got smarter. Actually, because we can't get cores for them. We're still having to have them ground.
Cores for the ghost cams. I love it.
On a 1518 ported manifold, JLT 120 Cook, 178 long tubes, MT82, LU47, and E85. What is the real world horsepower estimation on 373 gears?
What year?
He said a 2015 car with an 18 intake
15.
manifold, a
Oh,
JLT
okay.
120, 47-pound injectors.
What,
He's
4,
wondering what type of power
E85.
it's going to make on an E85.
430, 440, somewhere in that area?
Yeah, it really depends on the dyno, the day, the yaw of the tip, and yeah.
Somewhere in that
I
area.
don't like speculating, man.
Yeah, I don't want to.
People ask for horsepower numbers. I don't really care.
Somewhere in the 420 to 440 range. Somewhere in that area.
It'll make what it makes, is what it will.
Mitchell came back and said 50% initial, half second ramp. Cohen says, if I blow my motor at Mustang Week in my Hellcat, can we get started on my new engine build there? Because
Does your new
Absolutely.
engine build
if I would
include?
go out with a bang,
does
Why
the
would
new-
you blow up the if you blow up the Hellcat, you're doing something wrong.
Does the new engine build include helping remove old parts from road? Because if so, then
The Hellcat, I
Maybe.
mean, obviously anything's breakable, but you're still talking about an engine that's fairly capable at 950 to 1,000 to the tire on a proper tune and fuel. So I don't know what he's got done to his Hellcat, but if he's blowing it up, he's either trying really hard or
or he's not using the right fuel.
or is not using the right things.
Harambe,
Harambe?
wants to know, do you guys watch any YouTubers, and do you have a favorite, such as Derek Barron Productions, That Dude in Blue, Chris Sipple, TJ Hunt, Evan
I don't watch
Shanks?
anything that interests me. We had I've enjoyed Cars videos with him up here with that Hellcat Miata. Obviously, he's put together some nice videos.
I find that of all the videos I watch on YouTube, I watch more of Cletus's stuff than
I
any
do like
other
Cletus's
car
stuff a
guy. His
lot.
stuff's pretty entertaining.
Ian says, thanks guys. Next up, after this minor mod, will be a supercharger when you release for the 1819. I'm holding out for VMP.
My man.
It'll be worth it. I seen it.
I think we've all seen it now.
Does VMP offer a supercharger for a 1910 R80?
I'm not aware of a supercharger you can bolt to a transmission.
That's just mean.
Well, they make a 3.5 EcoBoost 10R80 in 2019. They make a 2.7 EcoBoost 10R80. They
Yeah.
make a 2.3 EcoBoost 10R80.
Yeah.
So-
I assume you meant 19 Mustang GT with a 1080.
You know what assuming does, though.
I know. We don't have anything out yet. For
We don't have
the-
any. We don't have any superchargers for that transmission.
Go on.
He says 5 liter.
Yeah, see? We don't have anything out. We're working on it. Be patient. We
Or-
promise it'll be worth it.
Is it like the Lincoln Aviator, where they mount an electric motor to the transmission? Because one could argue that you're charging it
Yeah,
with
That's
additional
true.
torque.
So Eric Garcia comes back and says, never assume. And then Shadow Stang, who was asking the question, says, who buys an EcoBoost?
I like EcoBoost.
I have an EcoBoost.
And then Cute Shadow Kia says, I need a supercharger for the transmission, 50% faster shifts.
I got you, fan.
Yeah, that we can do.
Um,
Go supercharger tune for the 10R80.
So Tyler wants to know, ice tank fluid, distilled water or filtered water, both running a coolant additive.
Distilled water.
Distilled water. Just don't use deionized water. We learned that one the hard way. Deionized water is stripped of all of its ionizing, and the problem is when you dump it into a
I
system.
hear that heavy water is the best water
Yeah.
to use.
So when deionized water that is stripped of all of its minerals goes looking for other minerals.
So
Sad.
cute Shadow
Tech
Kia.
tip for you guys.
Oh, cute Shadow Kia came back and said, "Hey, I have a 1.0 EcoBoost as a daily."
See?
See?
Never
I have it
assume.
Wouldn't that be a Fiesta?
The Fiesta ST, and I have a killer tune for that thing too.
Terminator
You want to see what those things do on 26 pounds. They're really cool. Other food for thought on that thing is, I haven't checked recently, but that was like the world's cheapest motor. At one point in time when those came out, the complete long block, wire harness to oil filter, was like $700.
You know what I left in the junkyard? LKQ about a year and a half ago had a Fiesta something. It may have been a Fiesta ST with a turbo on it, but it was a 1 liter, 3-cylinder turbo engine
Yep.
with transmission, ECU, all that stuff, just sitting in the junkyard.
Yep.
I left it there.
They're actually fairly stout engines,
sad.
and they are stupid cheap to replace. Like, it was to the point where you could blow up 3 of them, and it wasn't that big of a deal because you could just keep putting 4 long blocks
It's
in
the
it.
Ford LS.
Yeah, basically.
Okay, we have like less than a minute left, and I have a couple of things I want to try and hit on.
Charlie.
So we're gonna go try and go quickly.
Come to Candy Mountain.
Terminator
Charlie.
Lou says, "What's up, guys? How do you determine boost per pulley size? I have a Gen 2 engine and would like to be somewhere in the 650 to 700 to the wheel. With a Gen 2R, which pulley would accomplish those numbers?"
On
Discount
what
rate.
fuel?
He knows 93. I'm answering for him.
79 is as low as we recommend on 93. Whether or not you make 650 to 700 wheel depends on the quality of your fuel, the conditions, and what dyno it's on.
Emmanuel says, "Are you guys making a VMP for the C8?"
It's not out of the realm of possibility, especially with who we're partnered with.
Yeah.
Q Shadow Kia came back and says it's a Focus.
Oh,
Um,
I was into
and says
One liter
long
in the
block
Focus.
sounds a bit excited, I think is what she's trying to say, for a 38 centimeter engine block, 1 foot, 3S. I don't know what that symbol is. That's a German symbol. It's
Oh.
the thing that looks like a B, and I think it's
An
specific.
S set?
Is that, yeah.
Yeah, that's an S set.
Yeah.
Did you call me?
ESSETT.
Harabe came back and said, "Where I live, we have gas stations such as Wawa and Sheetz. They are the popular stop and shop places to get fuel,
That's
etc.
fine.
Is it fine to use 93 from them or stick to Exxon, Shell, or BP?"
It's fine. What I have found, what's more important is that the fuel is fresh as opposed to name brand. So I have found that as long as it's a high traffic area where the fuel is not sitting in the tank, it's getting swapped out.
Turnover. is
Yeah,
key.
turnover rate of the fuel in the ground is more important than what brand it is. And
With
brands
the
tend to
exception
vary.
of it being not like Wawa Marathon.
Yeah,
stuff like
and
that.
brands tend to vary. From everything I've seen, for whatever reason, you take Shell in Florida is garbage, but then Shell out in the Midwest is really good fuel.
I don't know. I've had good
The
luck
best,
with Shell too.
the best fuel that I've ever tested in the state of Florida was 7-Eleven. I've proven that many times. You put 7-Eleven 93 in it, that thing is doing things. So I mean, it's just what's important is not so much what you get; it's get the fuel from the same place. So if you're tuned on Exxon, keep getting Exxon. If you're tuned on Shell, keep getting.
Especially if you're someone that stays relatively localized. It's like
Yes.
if you're tuned on a fuel from a certain station and you normally go to that station a lot, keep going to that station a lot because
Correct.
chances are when they're ordering fuel, they're ordering it with the same combination of chemicals and from the
Yes.
same facility. So the consistency of which you're going to have like a good mesh with what you're tuned for is by putting the same fuel in it every time. And
Yep.
don't, if you pull up to a single handle pump, I don't know if this is how it actually works versus how it works in my head. And you're one of those people that puts gas in $5 at a time.
Yeah.
Don't pull up to a single handle pump where someone just finished filling their car up with 87 and
Yep.
try to pump only 1 gallon of 93 in.
You mean the 1 gallon of 87 that's still in
Or
the hose?
the 3/4 gallon of 87 and partial
Fill the
gallon,
damn car up.
the remaining quarter being 93. Yeah.
All right, so I'm just putting this out there. I'm not going to take any more questions. I'm going to try and get through these
Yes,
handful that I
go.
have left.
Power hour.
So
It
guys
better not be an hour.
and gals, I'm not
We can do
taking
it.
any more questions.
Go on, Joe.
If I want to supercharge without upgrading the short block or MT82, is it too much to get a Gen 3?
No, just keep
No.
it at a reasonable power level.
You just pulley up.
That's the beautiful
AK
thing.
turn down.
Turn down for what?
A lot of folks are, with a Gen 1 Coyote, are swapping to a Gen 2 short blocks to build power when going supercharged. Can a Gen 1 motor be built to handle higher power levels?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
93 or E85, whichever, 93 being the easiest to get in this area. Turbinator Lou. Q Shadow Kia says, sorry, she meant 30 centimeters squared, maybe?
Cubic centimeters.
Cubic centimeters.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what she meant.
Oh. I
It's-
like those engines. They're cool little cars.
Colin Collins says, in regarding to his Hellcat, it's stock expect for a leg maker intake. I think he meant accept.
Yeah.
But I was joking.
Oh, yeah, you're not going to blow that up.
But I do want to do something with my Hellcat. It's fast, but not fast enough. I want to do crazy, like one Hellcat build.
Then you hit me up, and I will point you in the right direction.
So Mitchell Page says, will any of the nation put up any ducks and give me a reason to go to Mod Nationals?
Who said that?
I
Mitchell
feel
Page.
like I should be enough reason for you to go to Mod
Yeah.
Nationals.
Well,
I
I'll
might
be
not
there.
enough for you, Mitchell.
Joe will be there signing autographs.
And will a stock Gen 1 fuel system support C16?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then lastly,
If anything, C16 has less
Yep.
fuel requirement than most gas.
Especially with a booster pump, you should be able to do quite a bit.
and lastly, we're going to end it with, it's been a quiet on the F-150 talk. Any upgrades to Joe's truck or the shop truck?
It's been quiet on the F-150 talk because,
Everything's broken.
well,
No.
mine's not broken,
Here's
but
a shop one is. Shop one's got a broken rear end.
yeah. And then my truck, I just drive it. It's been too hot to really do anything
Yeah,
down here.
it's so
That and
miserable.
between it being too hot and it raining every afternoon, you can't really race in Florida this time of year, at least not.
And you've been doing EcoBoost things too.
Yeah, I've been messing around with Ashley's EcoBoost a lot more than I've been messing around with my
Built
truck.
motor EcoBoost.
Yeah, yep. Little treasures you find. If anybody wants a built long block EcoBoost, hit me up.
2.3 EcoBoost.
Yeah, 2.3 Mustang EcoBoost.
Q Shadow Kia says, put meth in the Hellcat. Works great on people. If not, try adding cocaine to the intake.
My man.
I saw a meme the other day that says I put brake fluid in my mess so I know I can stop whenever I want to.
I did. I liked
And
it.
That said,
We Audi 5000 is 236. It was fun. Stay out of trouble. Don't do meth.
That's a wrap.
until next week.
Yeah, until next week.
Although for me, until Burnout Box.
Yeah, until Burnout Box. If you guys have any additional questions, I can't wait till next week. Hit up Burnout Box.
You need a burnout box?
Or hit us up.
They're out of. I would say they're out of town.
Yeah, they're
So-
out of town. It's going to be Chuck and one other person. We're not sure yet.
Yeah, so there's still a Burnout Box.
There
But
will be Burnout Box. Yes.
There's also live chat on the website now.
There is. Oh, yes, there is.
So if you need a sales support related question answered and you don't have the time to call and you're one of those people that plays around on their phone all day at work, then hit up the live chat.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, to help your requests and facilitate your requests, for those that would rather chat, we now have a live chat feature on our website during open hours.
Just pretend it's Facebook Messenger.
That's
what everyone else does.
I have to tell you, I love live chat.
Oh,
I
man.
do.
I do. And whenever I do tech support on anything that I need, I will go to chat first before I call.
Yep. Same.
I'm the opposite way.
Because I hate sitting on
You
hold.
would rather sit on the phone?
No.
I wouldn't rather sit on the phone. I'd rather have the phone be answered, but I'd rather not talk to a bot for 10 minutes before I get to a person.
It's not always a bot. It all
I know
depends
it's
on
not
the
always a
program.
bot, but it's not always a wait
Ours is
for
not
the
a
phone
bot
call either.
unless you count Chuck. He's kind of
Yeah.
bottish.
Yeah. Joey and Steve are kind of bottish too.
If there's a bot that starts showing up, I just forget it. But
Yeah.
most companies that I have worked with so far have not been bottish.
Well, most of the time that I'm communicating with another company, it's at like 9 o'clock at night. So,
And then at that point, you could be talking to people.
That's what I'm sitting at my computer at home, waiting on another data log to come in, crying myself to sleep.
I don't feel that happens. I don't feel that happens at all.
Okay.
Oh, bother. Have a good day, guys.
Bye, everybody.
They say that's a wrap.